Hello guys, Elita Legionarii here, and welcome to the Redoubt map. This is Medieval 2 Total War, and this is a 2v2. I'm in command of Sicily, and my ally, the SwedishLandsknekt, is in command of Milan. Our opponents are Scotland and the Holy Roman Empire. So let's have a little look at my army first. Up front I have, I believe it was 3 units of Puffy's crossbowmen. Then I have 5 dismounted Norman knights. Then I have 4 dismounted broken lancers, 2 chivalric knights, 2 Norman knight cavalry, and 1 general's bodyguard. So it's my army. Let's have a look at Swede's army. He has, let's see, he has 3 dismounted broken lancers, 3 dismounted feudal knights, so 4 dismounted feudal knights, 1 mounted crossbowman, and I believe he's got his cav over here actually. We had a bit of a plan going on. 3 Famiglia Ducale, 1 feudal knight cav, and he has a... I'm going to pause this actually just because it's going to be quite quick. Then he has a Carraccio standard here, and then he's got some 2 muskets and 3 pike militia and 2 Genoese crossbowmen. So now initially on the Redoubt map, me and Swedes actually wanted to challenge. We wanted to be the ones to start at the bottom, but I forgot that the host actually starts at the top. For some reason I thought it was at the bottom. So unfortunately we're going to be at the top. Now we could easily camp if we wanted to, and it would be an easy victory, but we're going to come down. What we're going to do is Swedes has got sent his cav to me, except for his general's bodyguard, which he's going to use to cover his infantry, and keep with his main army to keep the morale up, and we're going to work and we're going to quickly knock out Scotland. Swedes is going to hold this area off. And if his opponent decides to link up with Scotland, he'll come down and come with me. Now, let's have a look at the enemy army. The Holy Roman Empire is commanded by XxHussarxX. He's got 2 arquebusiers, 3 Puffy's crossbowmen, 3 dismounted Gothic knights, and 1 general's bodyguard. I'm pretty sure there's more. I'm pretty sure there was other stuff in the woods out here too, which I'm sure we'll reveal soon. Now, I'm just going to point this out. Bringing dismounted Gothic knights as main infantry is not a very recommendable idea. You always hear me going about the two-handed glitch, and this is one of the units that suffer very badly from it. Also, it's very cost inefficient, very expensive, pay a lot of money, and you don't really get what you pay for, so very risky move bringing those. And the Scottish player is Calmlikeabomb. He's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 units of noble pikemen. Then he's got 1, 2, 3. He's got 4 Highlanders, 2 spear militia, 4 Gaelic Glaish, and 2 noble Highlanders. So noble Highland archers rather, my bad. So if we look at this army, and then he's also got, let's see, a general's bodyguard and 2 knights templars. Now his problem with this army is he's got nowhere near enough cavalry in this army, so he's a lot of infantry, and that's fine and dandy, but on a field battle you need to have cavalry to support, because cavalry dominates medieval 2 Total War. So this guy's running a pretty big risk, but because he's got a bunch of pikemen, you can probably work out what he's going to try and do. He's going to play defensively and use his pikes to try and block cavalry. Same with his spears out there, so we'll just see. So our initial plan was pretty simple. I would rush up to Scotland, Swedes would support me with his cavalry, and he would hold the Holy Roman Empire in this gap. He's going to hold the high ground, he's going to be able to shoot him up and skirmish, so the plan is knock Scotland out and then swing around, take out the Holy Roman Empire. Pretty straightforward. I believe very soon we'll see some more of the Holy Roman Empire's forces come out very soon. So as you can see, I'm sending my cav out to the left because I want to swing around this way. Swedes is still going to bring his cav down to support me now, but it's roughly around the stage at some of the Holy Roman Empire's cav. As you can see, here we go. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 units of Teutonic Knights. Now this unit is a very, very powerful piece of cavalry, one of the very best cavalry units in the game. So both of our cavalry is in fact outclassed by this. This is the best cavalry on the field in this match. So Swedes was going to push down because he didn't really want to camp, but he's going to push back because these Teutonic Knights are a danger to him because he's got no cav around here, so he has to kind of cover his back. But it looks like he's going to bring them towards me. So if we look at my guys, I started opening up with my Pubby's crossbowmen. Now initially I had opened a few rounds up. As you can see, some of these guys are down into the 60s and the low 70s, but now because I rushed my guys forward, these guys are firing up and over the heads, which is less efficient. But because this cavalry was coming this way, I wanted to mop up Scotland quickly to go support Swedes. But he's brought his cav this way. In fact, what I might actually do in this fight is show you my fight and then edit in Swede's fight. I think I'll do it that way because I think that's just better, because I can't focus on both at the same time and I don't really want to miss either. So I'll show you my fight first, and then when I've done with my fight I'll take it back and edit Swede's fight. I think that's probably a better move. So over here I've charged in on the Knights Templar with my Norman Knights, which easily take out Knights Templar. They're much better cavalry. And then he's going to try and hit me in the flank, but I've got my Chivalric Knights covering him. This is why he didn't bring enough cavalry, so I have cavalry advantage, and cavalry advantage is always a good thing to have. So, plus Templar Knights are no match for Norman Knights or Chivalric Knights, so they'll hold their own for a while, but they'll get beaten up pretty badly. For the most part, they will hold their own. It just depends on how well they're used, but he's outnumbered as well, and as you can see, they're very quickly routing without doing much damage to me at all. So over here, what I've done here is I've decided to swing around with my broken lances and start engaging his spear militia. Now, make a wee bit of a blunder here. I thought this was an infantry unit, not a sword unit, not a spear unit. So my general dies instantly on the charge, which is very rare. That almost never happens, but it did happen in this fight. But I thought that was like a normal infantry unit, because you can see over here I charged as normal infantry units here, and I ended up doing lots of damage there. Now I haven't engaged yet. I don't want to engage his pikes in the front because I know they'll hold me out for a while, so instead I'm going to try and work my way into his flank and then rip him in the back with cavalry. So as you can see, I'm charging in here and I'm sending my broken lances around because his spearman's quite thin after that charge. And now I'm charging into his infantry. So let's see this unit get hit by my bodyguard. One charge, 55, and it goes all the way down to 25. I do the same over here, all the way along his line against his guys here. As you can see, they're all been knocked down into the 20s and 30s, so they lost nearly half their strength just in one little charge. So that's why you want to use cavalry, ladies and gentlemen, because cavalry dominates in this game. You need to make sure your infantry is protected from this sort of thing that's going on here, because you can see these heavy two-hander shock infantry are getting completely destroyed. Over here he pushes forward with his Highlanders, but they are no way going to be able to compete with these Norman Knights, so that's easy pickings for my guys there. As you can see, I'm wearing my way into his flank now. I've got him outflanked here, and his heavy infantry cannot support him, so I'm just going to keep putting thunderous charges into him, and he's going to very quickly rout. As you can see, he's making the mistake of being much too static. He's just given me all flexibility of the field, and I'm able to just easily pick him apart piecemeal. At this stage I'm round behind his pikemen. I decided to charge my Norman Knights up against his pikemen. Now, it's not that my Norman Knights couldn't take his pikemen from the front, because they could, but I figured it would be easier just to take out a flank and then stand them in later and then bring everything around and chain rout him immediately. It would save numbers, so then I could send men up to Swede's fight in better numbers if necessary. But it won't really be necessary because Swede's actually doing alright up his end anyway. As you can see, I've caught his General's Bodyguard out here. Now, General's Bodyguard's tough as in Medieval 2. If you're like coming from Rome Total War, or especially the later games like Empire and stuff, the General's Bodyguards in Medieval 2 are some of the best cavalry around. They are really, really powerful. So it takes quite a bit to beat them. Over here, I'm going to charge into the back of his pikemen with my cav, which is safe. As you can see, that does a good about 15-20 men just in that charge, and I can pull out without really losing any cavalry at all. So, you know, his pikemen are quickly becoming redundant because they're getting quite easily beaten, because in Medieval 2 the pikemen don't hold their pike wall up very long, so they end up getting beaten eventually. And as you can see, they're starting to wedge around the sides. But as you can see, his formation's all sprawled out, and I've got my cav all in between. I'm sending my other cav to help Swedes now, and I go into the back of his pikemen here with my cav here, and as you can see, I crack straight through here, and his static formation doesn't work, and he just sort of falls right into what I was doing there. So as you can see, Swedes killed the Holy Roman Empire's general. So as you can see, he's mopping up what's left of his last few men here, but he's totally outflanked on pretty much every location, and I'm able to easily pretty much take him out, because he was really just too static and he sat too still, and he made the big mistake of not bringing enough cavalry, and I was able to just use my cavalry to smash his back lines, and then I was all about to circle and wrap him up. So it was a pretty easy fight. This is why when you play Medieval 2 Total War, you bring cavalry, because cavalry is what's going to win you your games 90% of the time. Very, very important tool. You do not want to go without it in field battles, because it's just very, very powerful, and you don't want to go without that power. So anyway, as you can see, I pretty easily win my fight, just mopping up a few little tidbits around the field. But what I'm going to do now is, once this pikeman here routs, I'm just going to charge into it here, just mopping up what's left. I will, what I'm going to do now, guys, I'm just going to edit it out back, so that just before I begin my fight, I'm going to show you the fight that the Swedes did, because our fights are happening on two distant sides of the field. It's hard for me to show you both at once without missing lots. So as you can see, I just killed the Scottish general. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to edit it back to Swedes. So I'll see you guys just in a moment over the other side of the battlefield. Right, guys, when I left off from Swede's side of the battle, before he was getting these Teutonic cav had moved up, so that's going to force Swedes to go back. So he's going to get a couple of volleys in here. These arquebusiers are going to take some beatings, and they're already shaken, because that's how muskets work. They do a lot of morale damage. So Swedes doesn't want to have to camp, but because he's got no cavalry covering him, he kind of has to by default. The good thing for Swedes here is, because he's on this high ground, he can have his muskets up front, and he can still have his crossbowmen in the back. Because crossbowmen ordinarily need to be having flat trajectory with their shots, because they lob them over your allies' heads. Their shots don't do nearly as much damage as hit as much. But because of this terrain, it actually allows Swedes to put his crossbow up here, and he still gets some pretty nice trajectories. I think what he does is actually puts the one up here and one up here, which is really smart. Good move. So he's just going to cordon this area off. Now you can see he's put his cav down here, because as you can see I'm beginning my engagement over there, like I showed you before. But he's got his cav here ready to counter these Teutonic knights. Now he is at a disadvantage in terms of cavalry though. He will lose a cavalry fight because those cav are better. Unless he, like in a straight up fight, he will. But if he uses his charges properly, he'll be fine. So as you can see, he's cordoning this area off with his pikemen, and he's doing a nice job of just tearing into these guys here, because as you can see he's up on the high ground up here, over here, and I think he puts one there, or has he got them both here? Oh, he must have put them both here. But needless to say, it's good angle he's got here, because it's just a flat trajectory straight down, and he can fire over his own guys' heads here. So this is really good positioning for this kind of build. And then the more the Holy Roman Empire mucks around, he's just playing to Swede's strength, because Swede's guns will just drop his morale massively. And he's using Gothic knights, and Gothic knights, like any two-handed units, are really bad against pikemen, even militia pikemen. So these my glorious general charge, accidental mistake into the spear militia there, and died on the first charge. But yeah, so Swedes is going to get his pikes down here, and he's just going to clump up. The Holy Roman Empire player he's going to clump up. So Swedes is going to be able to bring his infantry down, his broken lances and feudal knights, and with the standard here he's going to have some good morale. So as you can see, these Gothic knights charge straight in to the front of these pikes. He goes through a thin area, which is smart, but he's just clumping up, and clumping up is never a good move at all. So and he's very much unflankable here as well. So Swedes is going to start bringing his cav around this way, and he's also going to slink straight through here. Very good move. And he's going to come into the flank. Very nice. So here's a clear example of how new this Holy Roman Empire player was. He charged straight into the front of these pikemen. He probably will destroy them just because of how powerful cav charges are, but that's really counterproductive. Swedes disengages his standard here and uses it to come in to hold them. That's a good move, because they are actually a spear unit, so a good move. He's going to support with his infantry, and now his own cavalry is going to come in. Now initially this is looking quite bad, just because of how much power the Holy Roman Empire's got in this area, but he's seriously wasted units, and he's got himself in a very bad position. Now Swede's cav's going to get a really nice charge straight into the back of these Teutonic knights. So he wasted his advantage with these Teutonic knights, because they were better than Swede's cavalry. Now Swede's going to be able to go down here, get rid of all these missiles with this feudal knight, and now he's going to be able to, his standard, he'd probably bring his standard back in a moment to get it back, to get the morale booster. But as you can see, they're trapped between these Teutonic Knights are trapped between the infantry and the cavalry. He's going to get a really nice rear charge in here, and that most likely will chain rout these guys here. These General's Bodyguard units are pretty solid, so it'll take a while to get rid of that one. I've got to say, these Gothic Knights survive longer than I anticipated, and I think Swedes are a bit surprised by it too, because seriously, they would normally rout under these circumstances. But as you can see, he's got some mounted crossbowmen in the back, and he can't use all these puppies crossbowmen to support him, so he's just ended up wasting a lot of forces here. What the Holy Roman Empire players should have done is moved out to Scotland side, and they should have pushed up around here where the terrain was more in their favour. But as you can see, he's got himself trapped here, and he's just not going to be able to defeat Swedes infantry, or cavalry for this matter. And he can't use his missiles to support. So now Swedes is going to push down here. He's going to wrap up around here. And as you see, I actually sent a couple of my sword and buckler men. I forgot to mention that I had sword and buckler men in this fight. I forgot to mention that. I was sending one of those and a dismounted broken lancer to help Swedes, but seriously, he doesn't need it anyway. But I had a few free units, and I could actually send them in to support. I also have a Chivalric Knight coming this way to hit some rear charges, but Swedes, by the time I get there, Swedes has already mopped his side of the battlefield up. So the Holy Roman Empire player had a cav advantage. I mean, the terrain wasn't in his favour, so what he really should have done was gone link up with Scotland. But I mean, this is probably clearly another example of bad teamwork, undoing a team, because we didn't stay on our terrain. Like Swedes was coming down, but he had to go back because he didn't have his cav to support against the enemy cav. But I came down, we were willing to come down, because initially when we set up on the redoubt map, we wanted to be at the bottom. We wanted the challenge of going uphill, just for fun, but we ended up kind of mucking it up. I always thought the host started at the bottom, but it actually is the host who starts at the top. So, but as you can see, the enemy team worked as two separate armies, didn't help each other, weren't at each other's area, and that just enabled them to be taken out one by one, piecemeal by us, while me and Swedes had cavalry and infantry in support of one another when it was needed. And if you don't have teamwork, guys, you don't often encounter much success. In fact, if you don't work out a team battle plan usually, and if you don't work together and coordinate and cooperate with one another, the chances of losses are probably 90%. Only really chance, luck, and some really skilled players perhaps could get you through that without teamwork. Which is why, when you play any Total War game, regardless of whatever one it is, and if it's a 2v2 or a 3v3 or a 4v4, you want to be working together as a team, because you have a much higher chance of success. And yeah, we had some terrain advantages, but to be honest, they weren't drastic. It was more their deployment and their operation as a team that enabled them to be beaten as decisively as they were. So I have 1,106 kills and 190 captures, so I've got a pretty large amount of kills by a normal scale standard battle. And then Swedes has 487 with 93 captures. Again, my kill count's probably in due part because the Scottish army was huge, was pretty big. And the Swedes' smaller count is due to the fact that this Holy Roman Empire army was small. So not really it's not like that much disparity in our actual kill rates, it's just the armies we were facing were different sizes. So if we look at my statistics, I can't actually show you Swedes, but I can show you mine. My Norman Knights got very high kills, as did most of my Chivalric Knights and my Bodyguard. The infantry did fairly well. This unit of Broken Lands got 133 kills. You don't usually see infantry get that higher kills, but it most likely was because it was fighting those spearmen, which are crappy and easy to rout. And my Puppy's crossbowmen, high kill counts there, because I was able to get quite a few volleys into them beforehand, and I was able to shoot them in the flank a bit. So a good game there to everyone, but again, it goes to show you why teamwork is so critical in these battles, especially when you're on a terrain disadvantage like this. I mean, we did come down because me and Swedes are not players who like camping. We like the challenge, and we like to play as fair as possible. But it's really just an example of superior teamwork on mine, his part, versus teamwork that wasn't really there on their team. So anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed this. Thanks for watching. I'll link Swede's channel in the description, so be sure to swing by. and check it out. I'm sure they'll appreciate it. So thanks again, guys. Leave a little comment, tell me what you think, and I'll see you soon next time.